You're listening to the Mile High Church podcast. Welcome, and thanks so much for tuning in. We've got some wonderful things happening here at the start of the new year that we hope you will consider, including all of our upcoming classes. You can find out more about those at our website, including our basics class, Beyond Limits. And speaking of basics, our Sundays in January will be Back to Basics, a series where Reverend Josh will be teaching you and inspiring you into the basic ideas of science of mind.
Welcome again to Mile High Church. If you're new here, this is an extraordinary teaching. The teachings here at Mile High Church to me are like rocket fuel. They just create this new layer of life that for me was the missing element to help propel me into my greater good. Little bit of a disclaimer, and I've learned this from personal experience. Sometimes things get a little worse before they get better. Sometimes things have to fall apart to get better. But if you continue to practice faith, stay true to your practice, and stay true to who you are, your spiritual life will pull you through and provide incredible things in your life. It's an important week here at Mile High Church because it's the beginning of classes. And in Sundays, we talk about this stuff, and in our lives, we try to practice this stuff, but in our classes is where we really learn to apply it and to talk about it with one another. And so we're so blessed that our foundation has given us a big gift to make these classes half off. And I'm teaching our Beyond Limits class on Tuesday nights. Reverend Linda and Kay, who are on their way up here right now, Reverend Linda's teaching a prayer class. Dr. Michelle's teaching a class on prosperity called Spiritual Economics. Zamira's teaching the mystical path. All great choices. And so add that element to your life by taking a class here at Mile High Church. And if you were here last week, I shared with you our special initiative at Mile High this year is healing in community. Take any part of yourself that you're allowing to become decrepit in isolation and bring it into community, because that's how healing occurs. And I'm so grateful for these two incredible women, Kay and Linda, who lead our healing ministry. They are walking testimonies to the healing power of this teaching. And I just invited them up here to share a little bit about the healing ministry and what it does here at Mile High. Hi, Kay.
Thanks.
Yeah, we provide an opportunity to heal in community through a number of programs that we've developed over the years. One of the ones that I enjoy so very much is the Healing Intention Circles. And this is where we gather together, and in small circles we hold the highest intention for healing. And we know miracles can happen. We also have an online support group, which meets every Tuesday night from 6 to 7. Anybody can join that, where we have a topic, we discuss, we do prayers, we have an opportunity for a bit of humor always, but it's really a place of safety to explore how you want to heal. And then the third thing that we're very involved in is the Healing Light Service, which, by the way, happens to be tonight. And so at 5 o'clock, we'll be over in the Vote Center. And when you enter, you enter into this place of beautiful candlelight. There's both silent and guided meditation, some lovely music. It's a place of peace and healing and support.
Thank you. I had just been given about 6 months to live when I started participating with all of the offerings from the healing ministry. So I went to the website, as those cute kids told you, milehighchurch.org, and looked on the calendar, and there was everything I needed to know. So I zipped myself right into the Tuesday night healing support group, started coming to the beautiful candlelit meditation services on the second Sunday, came to Healing Intention Circles, and started taking our wonderful classes. So that diagnosis is now 12 years in my rearview mirror. So this stuff works, really works. Yes. Yes. I've also eaten a lot of broccoli, but that's beside the point. So people come to the offerings of the healing ministry for a wide variety of reasons: physical, emotional, spiritually, relationally, really bad paper cut, and all are welcome. So if this calls to you, please join us. And I think what we found, honestly, over the last 12 or 15 years, is that you can impact and affect your healing all alone, at your house, in the dark, in your basement, but it seems to go better if you do it within the loving arms of a caring community. So please join us. I also hope to see you on Tuesday morning at 9:30 for the Power of Prayer class. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Linda. Mile High Church, again, filled with extraordinary people. And the thing that I want you to know about the healing ministry is don't wait till there's an illness to get involved. Healing can be revealed in so many things. And being a part of the healing ministry means that you're being present for others as they're going through their challenges. It's transformational. Thank you so much. I do think, Linda, I've got to change the sermon too, but you still have to eat your broccoli. Is that okay? Okay. We'll credit you. Thank you both very much. If there was something of a pilgrimage for us religious scientists, which is the denomination of Mile High Church, for many decades it was that many of us would travel to Pacific Grove, California, to the Asilomar Conference Center on the beach there every summer. And when I became a minister, I was really honored to be welcomed onto the committee to run this conference where our best speakers and ministers would do talks and workshops, and we always would have the main keynote speaker on Wednesday nights. And so it was 2008, and our keynote speaker was Rachel Remond, a wonderful writer who wrote Kitchen Table Wisdom and many other wonderful books. And we get there at the conference, and we get this call, and it's the people who represent the great Wayne Dyer. And it just happens that Wayne was filming a movie on the Asilomar grounds, and they said, hey, favor, we know the grounds are yours now. Can we keep filming? And if you let us film, Wayne will do everything in his power to come and say a quick hello to your people. So that sounded awesome. We all love Wayne Dyer. He's a hero to us all. And we get to Wednesday, which is the keynote speaker night, and we get a call from Rachel, who has something going on in her life, and she doesn't think she can make it. And religious scientists are wonderfully nice people, but they want their keynote speaker. They pay a lot of money to go to this conference. And so we get a hold of Wayne's person, and we say, well, we're so grateful that he might want to say hello to us, and could he possibly do it tonight? And so the day progresses, and Wayne says yes, and whatever happens with Rachel is changing. She's able to come to the conference as long as someone can take her home to San Francisco, and someone says, well, no problem, Josh will take you. So we're going on there, and it's the evening event, and Portia de Rossi, who's in this film, who I love from the show Arrested Development, is there, but she's there with her wife, Ellen DeGeneres, who at that time is the biggest name in television. So it's star-studded, and we're here, and Wayne comes out on stage, and he says hi for 2 hours. He does a wonderful job, a big hit and success. Rachel comes out and does her presentation for 2 hours. It's wonderful. Everyone's excited. It's past 11 p.m., and it's time to take Rachel home. 2.5 hours to San Francisco. In her wonderful book, Rachel Naomi Remond, she says, the most basic and powerful way to connect to another person is to listen. Just listen. Perhaps the most important thing we ever give each other is our attention. A loving silence often has far more power to heal and to connect than the most well-intentioned words. So that's what I got to practice for 2.5 hours, taking Rachel home and then coming back. And I remember laying my head down on the pillow at the Asilomar grounds and just said, what just happened? And the moral of the story for me, and part of the message today for you, is that this spiritual power can do incredible things in your life if you can trust it, if you can stay tenacious if needed, and if you can release control to outcome. If you can do these things, a powerful faith can unleash in your life in amazing ways. In Ernest Holmes' classic book, This Thing Called You, he shares, I know that I am a perfect being now, living under perfect conditions today, Knowing that good alone is real, I know there is one power which acts and reacts in my experience, in my body, and in my thought. I know that this recognition establishes the law of harmony in my experience, the law of prosperity, a sense of happiness, peace, health, and joy. I accept everything that belongs to this spirit. I claim everything that partakes of its nature. My question for you today is, what if you lived like that was true? What if every day you lived like that was true? That there is an infinite good that surrounds you at all times, and the work of experiencing this good in your life is about unlocking all those little locks you've tied yourself up with that have refuted this good, denied this good, rejected yourself from this good, and instead allowed it to take hold in your life, to do the thing we deep down want to do anyways, which is release control and allow this greater good to manifest itself as more harmonious relationships, greater health and prosperity, a deeper, more profound way of life. We can talk about this in a very wonderful, generic way, but it's hard to apply when you're facing everyday challenges. It's hard to apply when you have loved ones that are struggling to know that there is this great good with them all the time. It's hard to declare and know when you have tragic events like we experienced in our country this week. To know that greater good is there, and it is up to us. It is our responsibility, even when it's not in appearances, to know where I don't see hope, that's where I am called to show up as hope. Where I don't see good, that's where I am called to remember and be a presence for that good. That's the faith that we're given as our greatest gift, and yet that's the courage that we're called to step into in greater and greater ways. When we're able to realize that our healing, our good, the well-being of all of life, and everyone around us is never something we'll discover outside of ourselves. It's something that we reveal from within. It's the creator in you. It's the healer in you. It's the spirit in you. It's the beloved in you. In Ernest Holmes, this thing called you, he talks a lot about faith. And without using the word, the other thing he talks a lot about in there is forgiveness. And this may sound a little weird today, but I want to argue that faith and forgiveness in many ways are the exact same thing. That faith and forgiveness, at the very least, are two important aspects of the same creative principle. A creative faith always moves towards the good. It always moves towards the light. For faith is what helps us hold ourselves to the knowing of that greater good. Forgiveness is what gets us back there when we get caught up in the darkness, when we fall down in the muck, when we forget the truth of who we are and who our loved ones are and of humanity is. That's where we need that creative principle of forgiveness. You know, we talk about the darkness like it's some great unknown. I tell you, I think I've learned everything I need to know from the dark. Right? It's the light that I'm interested in learning from now. What was it that was said about Eleanor Roosevelt at her funeral? She would rather light a candle than curse the darkness. Right? What does that mean, to always light that candle? Not to deny the darkness, not to say we don't experience the darkness, but to be a light within it and to bring it forward. We're an interfaith church here at Mile High Church. We believe in a golden thread that speaks through all faiths, and that you don't have to be of a particular faith to know God, to realize your own salvation and wholeness in your life. All that being said, this thing called you and so much of our teaching is based in the teachings of Jesus. And one of Jesus' most profound teachings, love your enemies. Love your enemies. And it's not just a wonderful statement of how we should behave to one another. It's actually a creative principle. I'll put it another way. Want the best for those who annoy you. Want the very best for those who annoy you, because when you want the very best for those who annoy you, it's not your job to make it happen, but you set yourself free from being under their creative control in your life, antagonizing you, to set yourself free to return to that light of good and abundance. Which power would you rather have in your life? This jerk over here or this infinite presence that knows who you are and why you're here, that can help guide and bring forth wonder in your life? Last week, we talked about the mind power and the God presence. Mind power is always creative. We can create from any state that we're in. God presence only works when we're in a consciousness of faith. So saying that, what I'm saying to you today is this: you can't co-create your life from a consciousness of victimhood. You can't co-create your life from a consciousness of blame. You can't co-create your life from a consciousness of codependency. Does it mean that you're not victimized? No. All of us have experiences of being victimized. Does it mean there's no one to blame? Absolutely not. I got a long list. Does it mean that we can't find value in trying to care for those in our lives who are struggling to care for themselves? No. It's an honorable thing, but we can't create from those spaces. We can only create with that presence of power and spirit and life by releasing that sense of victimhood and blame and taking spiritual responsibility to remember who we are. We don't need people who are less than that dragging us down continually into who we are not. Holmes says in this thing called You, where has God been all this time? God has not been anywhere. The divine is always present and appears wherever recognized. As you enter more completely into conscious union with life, you will realize that the universe holds as much good for you as you can take, that you can take only what you give. You cannot draw love into your consciousness through hate. You cannot draw peace from confusion. You cannot see beauty through ugliness, nor hear harmony while your ears are filled with discord. I didn't grow up with church, but I did have a religion, and it was popular culture. It was music and TV. And one of my greatest spiritual teachers as a young boy was Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny, because no matter who the antagonist was, Bugs always is focused on enjoying life. He never gives attention to those who are trying to hunt him down and antagonize him. He's always focused on where he's going, not stopping at the people who are trying to say, look over here at this problem. So there's a Tao of Bugs Bunny. And I know you've always thought to yourself, I wish someone would give a metaphysical interpretation of Looney Tunes. And so here you go, because it's important to recognize these types of antagonists that show up in our lives that try to break our flow. The first we might describe as the Elmer Fuds. Elmer Fuds are kind of innocent beings. They're just ignorant. And what happens is they fall onto this unconscious belief that what is most important for them is more important than you. So they think it's okay to push you down in order to lift themselves up. Anyone have an Elmer Fudd in their life? Yeah. Then there's the Yosemite Sams. These are the angry people who want to blame you for what is going on in their lives, forgetting to mention that anger that they're directing at you, they had a long time before they met you. And so they move into that place of blame and persecuting you because they find such strong sense of identity in that victimhood that said, you did this to me. There's a reason that Yosemite Sam is always on the mud flaps of trucks, because when we're behind those trucks, we all turn into him. Anybody have a Yosemite Sam in their lives? Okay, I see some hands going up. Josh is going a little too far with these Looney Tunes analogies. The next are the Wile E. Coyotes. Wile E. Coyotes are brilliant, creative, and inventive. However, they have been caught up in this idea that they've been wronged. And so they go around creating all sorts of dramas for themselves in their lives that aren't constructive for themselves or anybody else. And the moment you point out this little fact to them, you become an enemy to them, and they start trying to hit you with anvils and rockets and so many other stuff. Anybody have a Wile E. Coyote in their lives? And then lastly, and I may be going too far here, are the Tasmanian devils. The Tasmanian devils who care only for the pleasures and the goods that are in front of them. The truth about the Tasmanian devil is that they're empaths. They're empaths. They feel deeply the sorrows and everything that's going on in the world, and yet they're afraid of it. So they deny empathy. Tasmanian devils in your life are those who cannot empathize with you and instead choose whatever distraction, their phone, whatever it may be in front of them, spinning and whirling themselves into all sorts of confusion while you don't get the compassion that you deserve. Does anyone have a Tasmanian devil in their lives? Now, if you're just passing through these antagonists, then you're okay. But if you're in love with one, then you're in real trouble. And I support you in signing up for a class here at Mile High this week. We do have a picture of the love that goes on there. Okay, thanks for entertaining me with that. But what we know when it comes to those antagonists in our lives, I said protagonists, interestingly, at the 8 a.m. service. I'm glad you know I'm not perfect. It is let them be, right? Mel Blanc voiced Bugs Bunny, but Mel Robbins says, let them, right? Let the antagonist be the antagonist. Don't give them your life or energy. You don't have to push them off the cliff. They're going to fall off themselves. You don't have to drop the anvil on their head. They're going to do that themselves, right? Just keep on staying in your faith, staying in your rhythm, staying in your good. Are you a breath of fresh air if they want to come out of their drama? Yes. Always have hope for them. In fact, pray and want the very best for them. But your focus is you, your life, your belief system. And there is a power greater than your antagonist. And you can use it. And it is this deep and profound spiritual good. Another creative principle that Jesus teaches, that Ernest Holmes talks about profoundly in this thing called you, is it is done unto you as you believe. As you believe in this source, in this power, in this presence. Ernest Holmes would underline and emphasize that word, as you believe. Don't wait to believe in it. Know that it's right here and right now. And we can approach this concept of it is done unto us as we believe from a mind power perspective, or from a God presence perspective. The mind power perspective thinks whatever it is that I believe, I'm going to manifest and make true. It's something like, I want a PlayStation. I believe that I have that PlayStation. It is showing up for me right here and right now. Very powerful. Very often works. The way that I want to talk about it today and the way that Holmes talks about it is done unto you as you believe in terms of this God presence. Don't leave God out of your life. Those dark places where you have not allowed the light to shine, that's the problem. Allow this God presence into every area of your life. Stop rejecting yourself or abandoning yourself or leaving yourself outside of this power and welcome yourself into it. And it will begin to show up as healing, as prosperity, as well-being, as the PlayStation or something better. Right? There's nothing wrong with knowing what you want, but there is a power in releasing control and allowing this divine presence to bring forth what you imagined or something even better. This is the faith walk. Faith holds us firmly in the presence. Forgiveness is what brings us back there when we've fallen down or made a mistake. It has nothing to do with the other people. We can bring it right back where we are. Holmes tells us, lift the load of personal responsibility by transferring it to the law of perfect action. No matter what confronts you, what obstructions appear, or what undesirable situations exist in your experience, this law can dissolve them. Easier said than done, yet this is our practice. In this thing called you is probably the most profound spiritual statement and instruction that I have ever read. Holmes says, when that which comes forth from you is no different than that which you would be glad to return, then you will have found your heaven. When that which comes from you is no different than that which you would be glad to have return, then you will have found your heaven. I believe that statement literally. Believing that heaven is not some place out there, but that it is a consciousness we rise into. It is an anointment that happens when we refuse to give in to the dark so-called realities around us and believe so profoundly in the spirit within us that we live from that consciously. There's nothing more profound to do. There's nothing more difficult to do than that. How do we face the personal challenges that confront us in our everyday life and choose to respond only with that which we want to have returned to us? Doesn't mean we don't experience anger or fear, but we choose to practice that profound wholeness in love. How do we support our loved ones who are struggling, bringing only forth that knowledge of what we want to know for them versus wanting to shake them and pull them over here and there? Very hard to do. When we look at that tragic event, the loss of a precious life in Minneapolis this week, so many of us experience anger, fear, desperation, or sadness for our country. What do we respond with? This event was so tragic because I know it involves individuals and their choices and whatever was going on there, but we all know that it came forth from this tinderbox of an American consciousness that is founding itself more and more on division and hatred of the other. We all know it. And when people see something happen and tragic like this, too often they jump to fringes. They jump to fringes, and what happens when we jump to fringes? Fringes are only based on their principle is beat the other side. Push them down to lift yourself up, demonize them, instead of jumping to center. You can jump to fringe, or you can jump to center, where you remember the principles that you believe in your country or know should be there, and you hold a consciousness of wholeness and healing for all. It's not easy. Trust me, I know, and I know you know it's not easy. But when we can get back to that center, we can recognize that there's no hope for our country unless we're willing to be an embodiment of that hope. That there's no greater good for our country, that even in those moments that break us to our core, call us to hold a higher consciousness for reformation. Yes, it's not accepting that what is acceptable, but for greater healing, greater trust, and to know that as difficult as it is, that we can address the issues that face our country on an everyday basis from a place of trust and listening and not terrorizing the other side. This idea of Holmes to only allow what comes from you to be what you want to have return, he also gets from Jesus, who said, nothing anyone can do to you can ever defile you. Only what comes from you can do that. Let's think about our lives today. Let's do our best to center ourselves in giving what we want to experience, what we want to see in our families, in our communities, and in our country. If you're like me, you're going to fail every day. It's okay. Try again and again and again. Moving into prayer this morning, invite any of our incredible prayer practitioners to stand and hold consciousness with me. And I just invite us to move into this consciousness adding a layer of faith to recognize perhaps that healer in you. I know within each and every one of us, there is a healing presence. It is a presence of love, of grace, of peace, and profound beauty. And perhaps why events in our lives and in the world shake us so profoundly is not to bring us down to their level, but to remind us that this healer within is what our lives need more than anything else. It's what our world needs more than anything else. The healer in you. As we acknowledge this healing presence, we begin to allow it to work in our lives, not to just be talked about in vague, ethereal ways in spiritual conversations, but to enter into those places where we have not allowed this light before. Knowing that this healing presence guides, it uplifts, it reveals. We allow its profoundness to work in all areas of our lives. We seek not to destroy those we disagree with in our lives, but to know and affirm that there is a greater path for them, that they can make a greater choice right here and right now. And we open ourselves to receiving and embodying that good in each and every circumstance of our lives. I speak a word for each and every one of us to know that sanctuary isn't just a place, it's a consciousness of being. And as we accept this good, this divine presence, I know that it carries us not only with safety, but with that profound courage that allows us to be a transformational presence in our lives and the lives of those we care about and in this country and world that we live in. As we hold and know this truth without any illusions, we step into it more and more each day, reaping its blessings in so many wonderful ways. We let it be the truth that we become in this moment. And so it is. Amen. Thanks for listening to the Mile High Church podcast. This podcast is made possible by the generous contributions from listeners like you. To make a donation, please visit milehighchurch.org.